Plenty of people have a bucket list, and this is mine. On it, you can see I wrote, "Watch the circle of life in Africa." This is that story. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I would like to make this the first of maybe a series of me accomplishing goals on my bucket list. I went to Kenya and I just want to talk about my experience, the things I learned, and just tell the story so that I don't forget it in the future. So the first part of the adventure, like many others, was at the airport. This was actually my first time ever flying on a commercial flight. So I was super nervous and I brought all of my camera gear, which made it even more nerve-wracking. We had to go to Amsterdam, then to Nairobi. So you're probably wondering what I mean by we instead of just me. And you're also wondering, hey, who is this guy? Let him introduce himself.
Hi, this is Roy Austin, the founder of Libraries for Kids, and I'm delighted to be able to share a few things with you from Amboseli Primary School in the Amboseli region of Kenya. This is where Libraries for Kids started. When I visited here with a tour group of 12 people, we came into the classroom just like this, sat at desks just like this. Somebody asked the teacher, "Do you have a library?" And Anne's face lit up and she smiled and she said, "No, but we'd love to." And I couldn't stop thinking about that. And so that was the inspiration that started Libraries for Kids. The first thing I was told, it would never work. Books are too expensive to ship and they'll get stolen in customs. So when I started, the first thing I did was mail some books through the post office just to see if they would get there. And they did. Since 2020, when we first started shipping containers, we've shipped over 1.1 million books. Those have gone into approximately 9,235 schools, and that has impacted the lives of roughly 2.3 million children. Our vision has grown bigger, and there are 10,000 more schools in Kenya that we need to get books to. Now, long term, we envision going into every country in Africa.
So the purpose of me going to Kenya is to join Roy on his mission with Libraries for Kids and to film video and get pictures of them delivering books to these rural schools in Kenya. Libraries for Kids did not pay for my trip. I volunteered my time and efforts. I've been working with Roy, seeing him around for a couple of years now. And when he originally brought up this idea of me going to Africa, I didn't think in a million years I'd be able to make it happen. I'm really glad that I was able to capture the video for Libraries for Kids. We really want to help Libraries for Kids grow and continue their mission. I had such a great trip with Roy. He's over 80 years old, but from being with Roy, talking to him every day, having dinner with him every night, and I think I learned a lot, not just about Africa. I learned so many life lessons through Roy and through just his wisdom as an elder. So back to the trip. We started off, like I said, landing in Nairobi. We stayed there one night and then we drove straight to Kitui. The first impression of Nairobi to me was the driving is just absolutely chaos. The rules of the road are just suggestions. There's motorcyclists coming the opposite way, weaving between cars the whole time. And it was scary, but then I realized something. I realized that all of the drivers they're paying attention. They're looking at each other. They're honking their horns, they're waving, they're making eye contact. Their communication with each other as they drive is actually way better than the driver-to-driver communication that we have here in the United States. It was actually pretty interesting and pretty cool to see how they just do things a little bit different. Once we got into Kitui, we were able to go to the warehouse where they store all of the books that they ship into Kenya and deliver from there. And there I was able to meet Wanjiku Francis. She is the head of the operations there. And so I'd like to have her talk about herself.
Okay, my name is Wanjiku Francis. I work with Library for Kids International. I've been the Kenyan operations coordinator since 2019.
What is your favorite part about your work?
Seeing the joy in the kids when you get them the books. We delivered these books, we were with Roy, and I intentionally opened it in front of the kids at the assembly ground. They all came round on the books, and some of them picked and started reading right there, and you can see how interested they are. That actually, it's a big reward for me. There's offloading, there is reloading, there is stamping, there is sorting, and going through the books to make sure everything is in order. I have a team of 5 guys who assist me with the stamping and sorting. We stamp to make sure that the books, first of all, we recognize that these books have been donated by Library for Kids. So when it's stamped, it's sort of a guarantee that that book will never be sold and it will end in the hands of the kids who need them.
Are there any specific books that each school must receive?
Yes, I make sure that that box has leisure books. That box has a dictionary. That box has a Bible.
How has working for Libraries for Kids changed your life?
A very big difference in my confidence because I wasn't able to speak like this to anyone. I can guarantee you I wouldn't have been able to speak to kids like this. I've also been able to read more. I used to buy a book or two along Tomboya streets in Nairobi. Now I have a big collection of all these kind of nice storybooks that I like reading. But I've been able to grow, understand what other people need out there, what they're going through, and how to help them. And I'm very, very happy that I've been able to help so many people. I've been able to do what I would have wanted someone else to do for me when I was a kid.
What you couldn't see about that interview that we actually did at one of the schools is there were probably 20 to 30 kids standing behind the cameras, watching Siku, seeing what I was doing. They love her. So we decided that Siku would actually conduct all of the interviews that we did with the kids just so that they could feel more comfortable because they were intimidated by me. Because some of these kids at some of these schools, me and Roy were the first white people they had ever seen. It helped a lot to have Siku, not just to help distribute the books and be in charge of all that, but also to just connect with the children in a way that I never would have been able to do. So once we had gone to the warehouse, picked up books, met Siku, met some of her team, it was time to go to the first school deep in rural Kenya.
Kiberiti wela msichana mmoja alipigwa risasi kalia panado.
Okay, what is your name?
Angel Ambua.
Angel Ambua, you're in grade?
5.
How old are you?
11 years old.
Okay, what would you like to be when you grow up?
Doctor.
What kind of a doctor?
Surgeon.
Have you seen the storybooks that we brought in? You think they're going to help you?
Yes.
How?
They can guide me to learn. My name is Tabitha Mwende.
Tabitha Mwende. And how old are you?
I am 10 years old.
What's your favorite story?
My favorite story is The Baby Becomes the King.
Tell me about it.
His grandfather gave him a wishings to become the king and step on the window and run and get a girl called Maria. She married Maria and they became the king.
How do you feel when you get to read a new book?
Happy.
Okay, what's your name?
Eric Malandi.
Have you read a storybook before? What's your favorite subject?
Science and mathematics.
Science and mathematics?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So what is 5 times 5?
5 times 5 is 25.
15 times 15?
50.
If I asked you how many you're going to be reading for the next 2 months, how many do you think?
5
more. Wow, okay. I like that. Do you think the books will help you with your schoolwork?
Yes.
How?
They will make me learn about new things and new places that I want to go, like America, USA, China, India, and other
You'd like to
places.
visit China?
Yes.
Okay, in that country they speak a weird language. Do you know that? Thank you so much.
Yes.
And you're a very strong man. Thank you. What's your name?
Emmanuel Peter.
Emmanuel Peter. Okay, have you learned anything new from the books that you've read?
Yes.
For example?
to be kind.
Ninyi mnakula nini jamani? Serious. Have you read a storybook before?
No.
Do you want to read, or do you feel that you have new books in the school?
Yes.
You want to be able to read?
Yes.
What is your name?
Marian Mwende Steven.
Marian Mwende Steven. What's your favorite subject?
Science and technology.
Science and technology. What kind of book would you want?
Storybook.
Okay, what kind of stories do you like?
Lulu Hassan.
Or how did you feel when you read it?
Happy.
Are you more interested in Africa or outside Africa?
Africa.
Africa.
Are there specific skills or areas where the students have improved since they received the books?
They have improved a lot because some of them now have known how to write compositions. Some of them now have also known to read on their own. You see, a few of them now can be able to express themselves in English, even though it might not be that correct. But at least they try. It is very encouraging.
And that first school was kind of on the outskirts of Kitui, so it wasn't actually that rural. The second school, however, was extremely rural. We went down a dirt road that was like an off-road adventure for at least an hour, probably an hour and a half to 2 hours, just to get to the school. On the way to the school, there was a young mother with a baby walking her child who's probably 5 or 6. They were walking next to the road, and we come by on this big safari vehicle. And the kid is holding, just a thing of bread. And the driver stops them to chat, see how they're doing. And while we're doing that, the child offered his bread to us in the safari vehicle. That level of generosity to offer what might be your only food for the day is really something that I've never experienced back home in America, and really opened my eyes to these people have so much less than us, but they help each other out so much more. And it really was a heartwarming memory that I hope I never forget. We continued down the road, and we eventually got to the school where they greeted us with a big singing and dancing performance. It was super extravagant. Everyone at the school, once again, extremely kind, extremely well-spoken. The school is very proud of their volleyball team, and it was cool to get a picture with all of them. And it was special to just, once again, interview more of the kids and see what it's really like for them to receive these books.
My name is Amos Joshua.
What grade are you in?
I'm grade 8.
What's your favorite subject?
Mathematics, science, and pre-technical.
Well, apart from the class books, how many books have you read on your own?
7. They help me to have courage, to be a peace man, and love others as I love myself.
Have you read any storybooks so far?
Yes,
Which one?
the magic bed.
So after reading, what did you learn from the story?
To be disciplined, to have courage in your life, then treat other people and you treat yourself.
Which ones would you say you want this kind of books, or not that? Maybe subject, a specific subject, or
The superheroes.
superheroes? Why?
Because some of them, they are interesting.
Which storybook have you read?
Hidaya. Hidaya.
Hidaya. Tell me about Hidaya.
Kulikuwa na msichana mmoja ambaye alikuwa anaitwa Hidaya. Yaani wakiwa karibu na nyumbani kwa Hidaya wakasikia unajifanya utaki kuolewa, utaolewa cha lazima. Hidaya akashikwa na alishikwa akapelekwa kwa
Do you have enough books to share with your friends in the classroom?
Yeah, but
But you are saying something? Go ahead, tell me. Don't be shy.
we have but pre-technical textbooks. Yeah, we don't have textbooks.
You don't have textbooks for that subject?
Yeah.
That's okay. See what we can do. What's your favorite book that you've read so far?
The Greedy Prince.
How did you feel after you read the story?
I feel sad.
You felt sad for the prince?
Yes.
Okay, what would you like to be when you grow up?
I like to be a pilot.
How do you feel when you see new storybooks? And
I feel so happy and so courageous
to talk with people which I don't know them, and we have fun with them.
The books have been very great, of great help to the learners. They have become more assertive as they talk about their matters. In fact, the school had nothing, had no books, had challenges in learning in English. Every child that joins this school comes with 3 short books, or at least 2, one for English, one for Kiswahili, and it is our policy that no child joins this school without a storybook.
So once we were done at that second school, we drove back to Nairobi, where we finally went on our very first game drive, our first safari, just in Nairobi National Park. It's right outside of the city. You have the skyscrapers, but you have all these amazing animals that are protected right outside of the city. And I just thought the city of Nairobi as a backdrop was a really interesting thing to include in my photographs. I don't think a lot of people realize, that Africa has big skyscrapers, big cities like this. Nairobi is the biggest city in Kenya. It houses around 6 million people, I believe, which makes it about the same size as Atlanta, Georgia. And that was yet another thing that surprised me about Africa in general is I think as Americans, we don't think that Africa has big cities like that, but they do. And of course, going on the first safari, it was super cool to see all of the animals. We saw rhinos, we saw a giraffe. I've always grown up loving animals. Here in coastal South Carolina, we have a ton of wildlife, but nothing quite on the level of Kenya. And a lot of these animals are animals that I think for a lot of people, it is a bucket list item in itself just to see these animals in the wild. So after that, we stopped at the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. This is an elephant rehabilitation project. They'll bring them in as babies if the mother dies or something like that, and they take care of them and they reintegrate them into the herd. Sometimes it takes years and years and years to integrate these elephants back into the herd. It was really interesting to see how they keep the elephants. The zookeepers actually have to sleep with the baby elephants. They always want to have somebody around them. They always want to have somebody that the elephants can connect with, because these baby elephants, they are very smart creatures and they will remember people. But it was really cool to see all of the baby elephants. They all went close to the crowd. You could touch them. It was a really cool experience to touch an elephant, especially a baby elephant. But I think what the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust does is just a great mission. And, it kind of reminds me of, I grew up watching Steve Irwin. I always loved what he did. Right after that, we also went to a giraffe breeding or rehabilitation project. It was really cool. Personally, I think that the elephants were a lot cooler, but the giraffes were super cool. You could feed them, I was able to feed a bunch of giraffes. I think that they looked kind of silly because their tongues are just so long trying to get the food. I think I did realize at one point, but kind of forgot, is how big the eyeball of a giraffe is. I think they have the biggest eyeball out of any land animal in the world. So they got some big old eyes. Something that we did in the actual city part of Nairobi was stopping at this handmade bead shop. It was super cool. All of these beads were handmade for necklaces, for bracelets, for handbags. And it was cool to see the process of how they hand make all of these beads out of the clay. They glaze them, they put them in the kiln, and their shop was super cool. I was able to buy a couple of things and bring them home with me and have some souvenirs from, Africa when I got back home. Once we were done in Nairobi, we started going to Amboseli National Park. And on the horizon, I saw this cloud. This cloud started changing, and I realized that is not a cloud. That is the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. I live in the low country of South Carolina. It's very, very flat here. Where I'm standing right now, I'm below sea level. So to see Mount Kilimanjaro, it broke my brain how large the mountain is. It's actually the tallest freestanding mountain in the world. It's so big that when I was in the safari vehicle and I'm looking through the windshield forward at Mount Kilimanjaro, I actually couldn't see the top of it because the windshield didn't go high enough. I've never seen anything that is so stunning, that just towers over everything in that way. Mount Kilimanjaro was my favorite background out of all of the places that we went to. Just any of the pictures that I got of the animals with Mount Kilimanjaro behind it, or any of the buildings with Mount Kilimanjaro behind them, to me are some of my favorite photos I got on the whole trip. I just think that landscape and that background was so stunning and so new, something I've never experienced before in my life. You've met Roy, you've met Siku. There's two other people that I want to introduce you to that have joined us on this whole trip and would join us for the rest of the trip. And they are Witris and Sandy.
So my name is Witris Emmanuel Nassari. I'm the safari organizer from Namaste Safaris. I'm partnering with Library for Kids International to visit schools and supplies the books, just to empower the kids on how to improve their studies. And we've been doing this for the last 5 years. When I met Mr. Roy, he found that I'm capable to work with him, and he has been coming back. And I love what I'm doing, I love nature, and that's why I'm into this job. Yes, I come from Tanzania, that is my base, but I do safari both Kenya and Tanzania, Uganda and Rwanda.
Have you ever helped with delivering any of the books with Libraries for Kids?
Oh yes, I've delivered the book in one of the schools in Tanzania called Kisiwani, and I will be visiting that school once we cross the border. As we are going forward, English books, they will be real important because we have those schools that they are teaching subjects in English.
Hello there, my name is Willis Sunday. I work with Namaste and we are partners with Libraries for Kids International. In Kenya, when we were growing up, we got most of the books. We just did have the basics which were being provided, which we came up with, like pencils. But by then, the government used to provide almost everything in school. Within the schools in the cities, we learned English, but the schools within the countryside, some of them had disadvantages of not having proficiency in the English language. Right now, it's very tough because the parents need to buy almost all the books. Reading culture has become quite a big challenge for the children, both in the cities and out of the city. They might look better with partners like Libraries for Kids International when they are now introducing back again learning by reading. This kind of reading actually helps in opening up minds. Roy, one, he likes to learn. He's very eager to learn Swahili, which makes it very interesting even when he goes to most of the lodges and camps when we're with him. The animal that he loves very much is Chui. Chui is a leopard. It's a very rare animal that is seen, and is usually, you have to have a lot of luck to be able to spot a leopard. And if you do, it's usually a sign of good luck.
So when we did finally arrive into Amboseli National Park, we did a bunch of different things, but the first thing I want to talk about is the animals. While Nairobi National Park was super cool and I saw some cool animals there, Amboseli National Park isn't right next to a city. It's out in the bush, and it felt like the first real safari that I got to go on. And obviously the dormant volcano towering over all the whole setting just added so much to it. And I think the coolest encounter that we had was actually with a famous elephant. It's one of the most famous elephants in the world, and his name is Craig at Amboseli National Park. He's a world famous elephant because he is a big tusker elephant. His tusks are so large, they are basically almost dragging on the ground as he walks. These big tusker elephants are very rare. There's only a couple of them around the world now. It's just so amazing how large Craig was. Compared to the safari vehicle, he even dwarfed us. And I think Craig is probably the coolest animal I've ever seen in my entire life. Just to not only see an elephant in the wild, you know, with Kilimanjaro behind him, but for it to be a big tusker elephant that's world famous, world renowned, was so cool, was an experience that I'm never gonna forget. Editor Joe here. I filmed everything else about a month ago and I've been working on the video. In that time, Craig has passed away. It actually was 5 days ago as of me filming this right now. And that is really sad. He just died from old age. There wasn't a tragic accident or anything like that. And while it is sad, it does make my experience being able to meet Craig while he was still alive even all that more special. So the next thing that we did in Amboseli National Park was visiting the Maasai village. Now, Roy has gone to Africa every year for the last 5-6 years. And so he has a lot of friends around here. He likes to stop at the same places. And so the Maasai village was one of the places. He has a good friend named Intimama who showed us all around the village, showed us how they really live there, showed us the huts that they build. In the Maasai culture, traditionally, they were a nomadic tribe and they really found their value, their currency, their status was almost entirely based off of how many cows you owned. Roy told me that there's a old adage that when one Maasai man saw another, they would ask, how are your cows? And after that, they would ask, how is your family? And actually, when 9/11 happened in the US, the Maasai culture actually gifted America a number of cows. I don't remember how many, but they kept them there in Amboseli National Park and they've let the herd of cows grow and grow and grow. And I've heard that story before and dismissed this Maasai culture of, wow, that's so silly that they tried to gift us cows for 9/11. But once you understand where they're coming from and what their culture and how they value each of these animals, it really actually was such a kind gesture that they did for us. In the past few decades, this nomadic tribe has eventually started farming a little bit, which means they're no longer nomadic. They have their villages now, and their way of life is slowly changing. After we were done at the Maasai village, we went to our final 3 schools that we would visit in Kenya for 3 different reasons. So the first one, we went and we interviewed more kids, just like the other 2 schools.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 17 years old. I'm in grade 9.
Grade 9. Okay, so you are candidate this year.
I'm candidate this year.
Yes.
My favorite subject is mathematics and science.
Have you read any storybook in the last couple of months?
Yeah, I read a storybook with Bridges Without Rivers.
Do you share the books with your friends or family?
Yes, in our class, we share storybooks.
How the books have helped you with your schoolwork?
In improvement of languages, in which students are speaking most in English. They speak in English in which on Monday, Tuesday, which are the school days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
So you have days when you have to speak in English?
Yeah,
okay.
And they perfect storybooks which narrate things that they are imaginary. And I like
imaginary?
Them. Yes,
imaginary.
Yeah,
like the superheroes?
Yes, they like them. I like them a lot.
How many would you be able to read by the end of the year?
I would like to read all about 20.
20?
Yes,
wow,
20.
That's ambitious.
Yes, yeah, because I am a pastoralist, so I used to take to go and graze so I take the storybooks and read them.
Oh, so when you go grazing at home, you will get a chance.
In 2 days, I finished one. Yes, I read a story of this man called in USA. I read how he grown up, then and how he fought for our country. So I wanted just to.
You wanted to become a leader, right?
Yes, to be a leader.
What's your favorite story that you've read in the last 1 year?
I've read the story of the King Lion.
Let's say, how many people do you have to share one book?
3 people.
Have you learned anything new in the books that you've read in let's say in the last 1 year?
I've learned new words, so.
Okay, how many times have you read a book, let's say in the last 1 year?
More than 9.
Do the books help you learn about things or places around the world?
Yes.
For example?
Japan.
Would you like to go there someday?
No.
So how far is your home from school, or do you stay at school? Are you a boarder?
Yes.
Have you learned anything new in the books that you've read?
I've learned how to live with other people and how to socialize with people.
Oh, good. What kind of stories or subjects do you enjoy the most?
Science.
Science?
Yes.
So if you were asked to choose the kind of books that you'd like to see more, which one would you choose?
Superheroes.
Oh. So you enjoy superheroes?
Yes.
Okay.
After we stopped at this school, the second one, we didn't film any interviews at. I actually filmed the interview that you saw earlier with Wanjiku, but it was great to just get footage of kids receiving books, reading books. It was a hurdle that I had to get around because Kenya has laws that you cannot film and publish content that shows the face of a child without their parents' written consent, which is a very good law, is a very needed law in Kenya because there is a lot of child trafficking in Kenya, unfortunately. And this law is put there just to prohibit that from happening. You don't want any of these kids to become a target. So if you've been wondering why I've been covering the faces of a lot of the kids in the pictures, or not showing the faces of the kids in the videos, it's for that reason. I don't want to include any faces of any kids that I don't already have written permission. But luckily at this school, we had a whole class of kids that their parents all gave permission for them to be filmed and for that to be released. So that's why this school was so great for us to go to. I was finally able to get some of the shots that I really needed for Libraries for Kids and all of that. The last school that we stopped at actually was not in session, so there was no kids and there was only a few teachers. But this school in particular holds a very special place in the whole story of Libraries for Kids. I'll let Roy tell it.
We're so excited to be back in Amboseli. This is where the whole idea for Libraries for Kids first started with this young lady. I was here on a safari in 2018, and somebody in our tour group asked Anne, "Do you have a library?" And her face lit up and she smiled and said, "No, but we'd love to." Here I am back in the classroom with Anne in the same place where it started. It's just wonderful. But Anne, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what school is like here and how have the books helped?
The children usually takes the books, they go, read them, write words, then they check the words in the dictionary, and then they come, try to make a sentence, and this has actually improved their speaking and writing. Yeah.
When I first visited here, all I wanted to do was see the animals. But I fell in love with the people, and you're certainly one of them, and you're certainly an inspiration. Your smile has lit a fire all over Kenya.
Thank you so much.
Are you the head teacher there, or deputy head teacher?
The deputy head teacher.
All right, you keep getting promoted.
Yeah, and I believe by next year I'll be the head teacher.
Awesome,
yeah.
Awesome.
I'm Margaret Slante Pasaloi, the deputy head teacher in Amboseli Comprehensive School. The books have helped the learners to improve their language and their writing skills during their composition writing.
What feedback have your students shared about the books since you received them?
They said they are very grateful, and they were asking for more storybooks.
Have you noticed any changes in students' behavior or attitudes towards learning now that they have more books?
Yes, really. They have changed. They have minimized the noise making in class. When the teacher is not in class, they take the books and they read.
And that concluded the part of our trip into Amboseli National Park. After that, we went and drove to Tsavo West National Park, which is a more volcanic, more hilly terrain. And this is the first place that we went on my trip to Africa that was purely for game drives for safaris, for seeing animals in the wild. I was looking forward to it so much. You know, the schools, I think I was surprised at how amazing the schools were. I knew it would be interesting. I knew I would learn a lot, but I was nervous. You know, I had to work. I had to operate with my camera and make sure I got everything that Libraries for Kids really needs to help push their mission to people, to a broader audience. So when we're on these game drives, I was more able to relax and just take pictures that are for me personally. And a lot of the times when we were on these game drives, I wasn't even holding my camera. Sometimes we'd see animals that, yeah, it would have been cool for me to photograph, but I decided, you know what, I just want to watch and admire this animal without looking through my camera and just take in the moment, be in nature, and see these animals that I'm so blessed to see in the wild in Africa. And Tsavo West was just an amazing setting for that. It was an amazing setting for seeing countless giraffes, countless zebras, countless birds, elephants. It really was such a special place. Tsavo West and all of these national parks are so large. I never would have thought about how big these national parks are. Kenya's national parks and protected land actually takes up 11% of the entire land in the entire country. They take such a big focus on making sure that these animals are protected, that they're safe, that the land is protected, that the land is safe. And that's something that I'm really inspired by. Obviously in America, we have the national parks and they're pretty big, but the national parks in America only take up 3% of the land in the US. So from 3 to 11%, almost 4 times the percentage of land in Kenya is protected. And I think that's really inspiring. And just the people of Kenya, they care so much about the animals. They care so much about the wildlife. Everyone that I spoke to, they all understand the animals so much more than we understand the animals here in America. We spent multiple days at Tsavo West just going on safaris, looking for animals. And the whole time, we were really looking for Roy's favorite animal, which is a leopard. They're really rare to see because they're mostly solitary animals. They only get together to mate. So you are only really going to ever see one at a time. They're not very large and they're nocturnal for the most part. So they're really difficult to see. They're always hiding well in the tops of the trees. And sadly, after days of looking, we didn't see one. So it came time for us to pack up at Tsavo West and head to the border to go into Tanzania. We woke up early in the morning, the sun wasn't even up, and we began driving down the road to exit Tsavo West National Park, where we saw 2 lions. These were the only 2 lions I saw in my whole time in Africa. It was super cool. I just was only able to get pictures on my phone because of how dark it was. The sun wasn't up yet. But, you know, if you go to Africa, you gotta see a lion. That's just, them's is the rules. So I'm glad that I got to see it. And then right when we thought we wouldn't, what walks in front of the road is a leopard. We were freaking out because we had spent the last 2-3 days looking for a leopard. And you know, we thought it's not happening. It's not gonna happen. And to see it just walking across the road, it walked next to the vehicle. I was able to get some really cool pictures just with my phone again. But more than anything, I was just saw the leopard and watched it and was trying to not be on my phone as much and just enjoy the moment of seeing a leopard in the wild and appreciating how rare of a occurrence that is. Now, once we got into Tanzania, I was told that everyone there was so much kinder and nicer than all of the rude people in Kenya. And that was a shock to me because the people in Kenya were the kindest, most lighthearted, most smiley people I've ever met. We would be driving down the road and people had built their houses or their shops too close to the road. So there were, police officers. They're making them tear down their shops, tear down their house. They have a gun across their chest and, you have to take down your house. And these people are by hand destroying their shop that they make their money from. And they're laughing and they're having a good time and they're talking and chopping it up with the police officer that has the gun across his chest. They don't take it seriously. Everything can be solved. What were they gonna do with that shop after they tore it down? They were gonna go back 100 feet and build the same shop there again. It wasn't a big deal. I don't think I saw a single person look stressed out the entire week and a half, 2 weeks that I was in Kenya. Everybody was happy, everybody was smiling, looking at each other, making eye contact. And that really, I think, was the biggest impression that going to Africa left on me, was just how kind all of these people are to each other, how they all see each other, they all give each other the time of day. And that's something I've really tried to live in my own life since returning back to America. I try to smile more, I try to look people in the eye, be kind to others. And it was just so inspiring to see that. And so that's why it was such a big shock when people told me that everyone in Tanzania is so much nicer. And it's just, they were so much nicer in both countries than we are to each other here in America, that I could not tell the difference between niceness in Kenya versus Tanzania, even though to them, apparently, it was a big difference. The first difference that I did notice about Tanzania is how lush it is. Kilimanjaro separates Tanzania and Kenya. And Kenya is the dry side of Kilimanjaro. Way less dry than I would have anticipated just thinking about Africa as an American. You'd think it's a desert, it's not. And Tanzania was that was the wet side of Mount Kilimanjaro, and there was rivers everywhere. It was so lush. I felt like I was more in Hawaii than in Africa. It really changed the way I look at the continent of Africa as a whole. The first thing that we did when we arrived in Tanzania was we picked up a man named Lizer, who you will meet later, and then went to Mkomazi National Park, where they have a white rhino breeding project. This is a very important project because white rhinos are becoming more and more rare. They're almost nearing extinction because of poachers trying to kill them for their horns. And Mkomazi National Park is fighting against that by breeding them and keeping them protected and severely punishing anybody that is found for poaching. And we were able to see actually one of these rhinos. It remembers the tour guide that was with us, Lizer, and it was like a dog. It came up to him, it came up to the side of the vehicle and was brushing its horn up against it, which was kind of scary. But we were able to touch the rhino, a white rhino, which is an extremely rare animal. So that was super cool. Another thing that they do in Mkomazi National Park is a breeding project for wild dogs. I did not realize that wild dogs were a thing in Africa, but they're actually very, very dangerous. They're very intelligent animals, but their numbers are dropping. And so Mkomazi National Park is trying to keep those numbers up by breeding them. After Mkomazi National Park, we went to our final school of the trip, the only school in Tanzania. It was probably the coolest experience of the whole trip because a few of the kids actually read books that they had previously received from Libraries for Kids to Roy and our whole group. And after that, we went from classroom to classroom for Roy to talk to the kids and introduce himself. And while we did that, we had a cluster of at least 100 kids that followed Roy from classroom to classroom. And Roy gave one kid a high five, and that just went into chaos of every kid wanted to high five Roy. Every kid just wanted to touch Roy. And it was so cool. As we got in the big safari van and we started driving away, the kids are chasing the van because they didn't want us to leave. It was really cool. It was really heartwarming.
Asante Sana, thank you so much for inviting us to your school. We are delighted to be here and meet your students. Tell me about your school.
Thank you very much for coming. This is Kiswani Primary School. The school has 435 students.
This was so much fun visiting the classrooms and seeing the teachers and seeing the students. The welcome you gave us was wonderful.
Thank you, sir. You are warmly welcome.
What are your goals for the future for this school?
We plan high. We plan that we can do better in our examinations. We plan that our students may speak good English like you. Yes.
How will the books help that?
Yes, the books help us in many ways, especially in studying career. Our students increase vocabulary through these books. As you see there outside, we have some students like much studying Bibles.
You and I met 4 years ago.
Yes.
When I visited Mkomazi National Park.
Yes.
You told me then, please bring books. Tell us, what is your full-time job? What do you do?
Okay. Actually, my name is Tumaini Liza. I working with the Tanzania National Park. I like to say thank you very much, and I hope those books will help a lot of our kids. I'm dealing with the protection against the poaching. That's a program of breeding rhinos. It's a bigger project.
Thank you, Liza, for all your help and for keeping after me to get books here, and we finally figured out how to do it.
And myself, I can say thank you very much. You promise books and you bring it. Thank you very much.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
And after we visited the school, that kind of wrapped up our trip. We did a couple other small things in Tanzania. We went to a couple little bead shops. There was a glass blowing shop that I went to that was really cool and fascinating. And then my driver took me separately to Kilimanjaro Airport for me to fly back home. That kind of concluded my trip. I was gone for a total of 2 weeks. My flight back went fine. There was a couple of delays, but it was okay. I made it back all right. I have felt like I had just gone through a dream. I felt like I shouldn't be having this opportunity that I have, and I was so lucky and happy. I just want to talk about a couple of the takeaways of just my whole trip. I was really fascinated by the churches in Africa, because you'd be driving through the middle of nowhere or in a city where, you know, everybody has their huts that are just built out of cinder blocks and mud, and then you'll see this amazing church on the hill. And I think that was one of the most interesting things just visually for me in Africa, was all of the churches, all of the Christian churches. If I ever went back to Africa, I would love to do a series of photographs just focusing on these churches in rural Africa. They just caught my eye. They stood out so much against the landscape of everything else. Obviously, I touched on the joy of everybody in Africa, the kindness of everybody there. You know, that's something that I really wanted to take away. But another thing that I took away from this trip to Africa was how everyone there they're present in the moment. People are so much less worried and stressed out about the future. They're just focusing on that moment, the people in front of them, the food that they're eating. You know, while they're driving, they're paying attention to everyone around them. This experience of me going to Africa is what inspired me to get a flip phone and try to just not be always looking at a screen, and do better about being aware and present in the moment. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is probably the longest I've ever worked on a video for this YouTube channel. I had so much content. This is the first thing on my bucket list that I accomplished. I want to make more YouTube videos about me accomplishing other things on my bucket list. So hopefully you stay tuned for that. All right, it's Editor Joe again. I don't know how I forgot to say this, but if this video inspired you to help Libraries for Kids with their project and you would like to donate, Their website will be the top link in the description. You can donate as much or as little as you want, and just rest assured that 100% of the proceeds do go to helping donate books directly to the kids in Africa. So once again, thank you so much to Roy for approaching me with this opportunity to donate my time and my video skills. If you haven't already, subscribe to this YouTube channel, leave a like on this video, and share this with somebody else who you think might find this story interesting or might take something away from my experiences in Africa. I really hope that this can inspire some of you to have the same takeaways that I did from going there. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.